So over previous years, WWE 2k24's universe... the universe mode may be a little bit stagnant at times, but there is still a decent amount of creation that you can make. In terms of what you can do with this is down to you slightly, and then sometimes down to maybe not necessarily the biggest updates. But if you are wanting to make your own custom created universe, then this is going to be the best place to find out. So what we can do here is we can go into the download creation center. Again, it is still broken. Whenever you're watching this, if you're watching this in hopefully a week, a couple of days time, hopefully it is all fixed for everybody. The only way that I've managed to get on this is by creating a second account and going in there. It's the only way that I've managed to get it to work. So if I'm going to make my own custom, I don't want just the generic War and SmackDown. This is kind of the best place that you can go for if you're not willing to do it yourself. So for instance, if we go onto the most downloaded shows, we can obviously see a fair few. Granted, as you kind of go forward in this kind of journey, the downloads should get better and better. The biggest one that everybody always seems to make straight away is AEW. So for instance, say I want to actually make AEW, maybe even something along the lines of kind of like a WCW or kind of like a WWF, maybe even the kind of Attitude Era alongside and competing with an AEW on the same show bracket sort of thing. This is the place that you're going to be able to do it. So I've managed to get AEW there, and then say we're looking at another one. Obviously with this one, you've got the shows, you've got Rampage, TNA is there as well. Nitro. God, I forgot about that one. If then we go for something like WWF. This is going to be something else created. You can do this yourself. I've got a whole video on how to create shows. If you want to check that out, go into the playlist. Everything is going to be there. I'm trying to touch on every topic with WWE because it is a massive creation side of stuff, which is brilliant. So I've got two shows because realistically, in the universe mode, you could make a show every single night. It's going to be long, and it most definitely, if you are trying to either book the shows yourself or you're trying to actually make it more like how WWE is, so you've kind of got the two shows, maybe you're throwing in an NXT, that could work as well. But alongside this, what I would suggest is getting superstars as well. So if you are trying to get your AEW stars, then going into the superstar download is going to be the best thing as well. Again, if you wait a little bit, you might find better downloaded stars. So obviously, like you've got a CM Punk, you've got Ospreay, you've got AJ Styles in a previous one, depending on when you're taking this from. If you're going for kind of like an AEW over the course of 10 years, that could be interesting as well. Maybe reliving the kind of... what if they didn't move? What if AJ Styles didn't go from Japan? What if Will Ospreay stayed there? All of that good stuff. You could do that as like a mega roster. Then same with the WWF. You could kind of bring in all of the newer stars as well. Maybe a Brock Lesnar, but he's not. It's kind of been, he's been moved back into the generation. Kind of waffling. So if then we go into the arena, because this is going to be a big one as well, you more than likely will see AEW at the top. You can obviously search it. I'll show you in a second. As you can imagine, we have got AEW there, which is absolutely fine. So we are going to download that one as well. Content already downloaded. Oh, okay, even better. So that might be from the same creator, actually, because I don't think I've downloaded any arenas. That more than likely would be the one that's come with it. And then say we wanted the WWF, that has downloaded as well. So actually, we don't need to do both. If you are looking for something specific, if you press Y, you've obviously got all of the different settings that you can go with. Say if you wanted championships, arenas, all of that jazz. Or you go into the hashtags, you go into custom, and then you could just type in AEW there. It will then come up with all of the AEW stuff. And depending on what you want, say I wanted all of them, then that would give you everything with a hashtag of AEW. So then pretty much the only other thing left, I don't know if one has downloaded, but the AEW Championship is going to be needed in this to kind of make it real. If then you go again with all of the AEW titles, you could put it on that one show. So for instance, we're going to download this one. It is just the max download. It's the most popular at the moment. So obviously there, you can pause it and see the person who made it as well. I don't want to keep going and stopping and giving you that because it's just there. If you stop the video, you can search the creator as well. And to be honest, he more than likely will be the top for quite some time. Then we want to go into universe mode. So now we go into new because I'm going to go and try and do something new here. What we can do then is we've got a classic mode there where we showed you yesterday. I'm going to be showing you this one now. So we are on a fresh fresh universe mode, and the way to do this is by X on the delete, and then we can go X on the delete. We can then X, we need to have one show, of course. So say we want to add the show in here. We're going to add a major show here, and we have obviously got the normal ones, and we're going to go with a custom. So the custom one, I believe you should be able to bring it in. Show details. Oh, is it not going to show me in there? Aha, figured it out. I was like, you definitely can. I've done this before. So if you press Y, you can import the show. Makes more sense now. So say we're going to put AEW in this. This will bring, obviously, all of it in. And you obviously can then choose the matches like how you would with Raw, like we showed you yesterday. We have the table match, which is, again, default. You can change that up if you want. We also then have the championships. So this is where you are going to put your AEW. And also, we need to go with a roster. Say we put AJ Styles to start with. This is just a very basic run through at the moment. So once we've done that, we'll do that. It needs to have a 10 shot. Of course it needs to have 10. So if we go, we're just going to chuck in 10 at the moment. Obviously they're not in shows at the moment because they've come away from Raw. And like I said, is that 10? That's 11. Perfect. So we've saved that in. That will then go into Mondays. I want to say, yeah, if you get rid of the first week, unfortunately it will just go to SmackDown now. But then obviously if we do delete this one now, we can then, it will go back to week 2 basically. There is no way, unfortunately, of changing this and then going into it. So it is just one of them things. So say then we go and add the next show. We're going to put it on a Thursday instead. We want to make our own thing. We can then go into custom show again. We're going to import and we're going to go with WWF. Again, we've got to go with just random people just to get this in. So if we put multiple versions of The Undertaker in. So we save that settings. That's going to be 12. Again, we can edit the championship. We can then bring in the older WWF. I want to say they might actually have some of the championships. I don't know whether they do. I've not looked through all of the belts yet. But I'd imagine they should do, really. But it doesn't look. I'm not seeing no WWF here at this moment in time. WWE. It looks like we might not have anything. So championship, then we go into the WCW. So yeah, so there's no WWF at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Unless I'm just going over this far too quickly. I can't see any, but you can download them. They're exactly the same. So we're going to put in a champion. We're going to put in Undertaker for that one. Perfect. So we save that. We've now got 2 custom shows in here. And this is one of the good things that you can do. Obviously, when it comes to these here, you're going to have to delete them and then put them back in because they were in with the certain roster. So what I'm going to have to do is delete through all of these. You can even make your own. You could do something like, for instance, if you wanted 2 a month and they were kind of an AEW event, then a WWF, and then go into a joint, or you could obviously do both together and have WWF versus AEW every month. That is something you can do, but if you wanted to add these in, so for instance, we can't add one here, but if we add one here, we can obviously put them in. And again, very much the same. If you go for custom, you can then import them if you've obviously got a certain one there. So that's going to be something, or you could just make your own, change the show details yourself. That is, again, worth the magic. But if you wanted to keep them the same, all you have to do is Y. And then, for instance, I wanted to go bring Backlash back. We can then obviously do that. We then have to have host shows. So I can have both, or I can have one, or I can have, well, I can't have none. But you can have up to 3 different shows per one. So if, like I say, you're trying to make a more custom feel, you may be trying to do 4 shows and they're all completely different eras. You're making 4 different kind of almost shows in itself, but they don't ever align. That can happen. SmackDown and Raw work together because it, a lot of the time, was SmackDown versus Raw. It doesn't mean that this has to be the same. They don't have to go across each other. It can just be AEW, WWE, WWF, WCW. It can be that. You can even make the Japanese show. I don't even know what that's actually called. Let me know down below. I can't remember what the actual show title is. I just, that's as little as my knowledge goes outside of WWE. Even AEW, to be honest, isn't necessarily great knowledge. So that is something you could do for the custom. What you then do, if obviously you are trying to edit people in, you want to go to the edit show menu, and then obviously you do have the two here. You can do the same as when you was adding, you can change participants, but I would do all of this at the start. I wouldn't necessarily go a few weeks in with Raw and SmackDown. You want to do it at the absolute beginning, get all of your people in, select them all. You want to make sure that you've got the roster in there as early as possible, because then you can start the shows properly. Then also something to always in mind with that is the divisions. You want to make sure this is actually in right. So it's why I personally like having a few different titles in, because you can make up to 7 slots. So you can make this participant list as big as you want, and also you could add your own titles in. I'm not saying that you have to follow the custom AEW route or WWF. You can make your own and create a whole roster in there, and it most definitely could be really interesting. You can go for the old retro versus the new. You could do the ratings based on that and have almost your current and past 2 shows at the same time, depending on what you actually want to do. But when it comes to the divisions, you've got to make sure that you've got to have people in here. So making sure that you've got all of these people, these will be going after the AEW World Championship. So what this basically is they are in that power ranking to go for the championship. So think of something like a number 1 contender spot. This is the list of people that are going for the championship in the storyline at the moment. It doesn't mean that they can't go for number 2 or 3, but this is kind of the main storyline, especially when you're coming towards like a WWE champion, a world heavyweight. They are considered the major ones. The United States, Intercontinental, they are considered the minor slots. They're kind of like the pushing of the career. You start trying to go after that, and then you build up to the big one. Then obviously it's all based around storyline and all of that good stuff. But in terms of the start, that is what you want to do in terms of your career. Or you could just change it out completely. You could have just one title, everybody goes for it. It's totally up to you. I like to have a lot of championships because it just makes it a little bit more interesting. Obviously then you've got multiple champions that you could do. I like the Night of Champions. I think that is a great promo. I think you could do something similar to that, and you could have the custom AEW Night of Champions versus the WWF, the SmackDown, the Raw Champions. I think that would be really cool. You don't have to change hands on the title, but you can obviously have the champion versus a champion, a Roman Reigns versus the AEW World Heavyweight. I just think that is something you could go along with it. So that predominantly is the premise of what this could be in terms of a custom show. Obviously then you can go further in. You can make your tag teams, you can make your rivals, your superstars in there. Like I say, all of your championships. Whenever it comes to the options side of stuff, I always run through these really quickly. Automatic rivals off. I keep the breakup and formations on. Crowd reactions on. Injury, entrance. I don't like the cash-in. It's totally up to you, but I personally turn these down to like this. And also, just as an extra clarification, the AI post-match cash-in or any of them, you have to be at least watching or playing the specific match. They will not do it if you are not in there. So for instance, say you've got Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. If then I sim that match, what you could do it a million times, it will never cash in. You have got to be physically watching them. And then the universe tutorials I turn off. If you obviously are trying to kind of get to grips with it, then you can turn them on and it will give you a little bit of help. But I just find trying to do it yourself and really kind of going, because you can get rid of this if you really want. You can delete and start again if you have set it up wrong, or maybe you're a week in and you're like, I wanted to change something. I kind of like doing it this way. That is absolutely fine as well. But like I say, when it comes to the Sunday events, you will, especially if you get rid of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, you've got to get rid of them and put them back in basically. So if you want to take a checklist of them, then you can do that, or you can make your own custom shows as well. So that is going to be predominantly how you make a custom universe mode. I think it'll be interesting. Let me know down below any theories that you've got. What 2 shows, 3 shows, 4 shows would you have going along? And you can even do one. You could do a double night of Raw and have them both on a Monday and a Thursday. Let me know down below how you get on, and I catch you all for the next one. Peace.